Hello, this is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor. I'm glad that you've joined me on this Sunday afternoon. It's a wet and rainy day. It's about 66 degrees out, nice and cool. I love the rain. I'm happy when it's rain. When it's raining and it's cold, you start to feel like it's fall again compared to the 88, 90-degree weather we've been having. Listen, I want to talk to you today about conflict. Every single business has some type of conflict. And conflict creates an atmosphere where employees and management don't know exactly what to do. Who do they talk to? Which side do they take? And it creates wasted time. In fact, let me read you some statistics. Let me put on my glasses because I'm old. Employees in United States companies spend approximately 2.8 hours each week involved in conflict. That's arguments, that's outright fights, it's whatever. This amounts to around, now this is going to shock you because it's affecting your business too if you have conflict. This amounts to around 359 billion in dollars in hours. 359 dollars 359 billion dollars in hours paid that are filled with and focused on conflict instead of a positive productivity environment. Now, I know that to be a fact because I mediate conflict. I mediate conflict with management, board of directors, succession, who's going to succeed, be the successor when uh, a senior executive leaves or a manager leaves, between employees. I'll give you a good example between employees. I had a client in Oakland, California, who were really having a fight between three employees. It was two against one, and it was about politics because they had allowed to get politics to creep into their business, which is an evil situation. Two of them wanted to have the other one fired. They wanted the guy fired. They hated his politics. Didn't like anything he said about politics, and they didn't have a political section in their handbook on how they dealt with politics inside the company. But they wanted each other fired. Unfortunately, the manager said, I'm in a pickle here because they're all three really good employees. I just need to resolve the issue. So I was brought in and we sat down and we were able to resolve the issue in a good professional manner. And we also have the management create within their handbook a policy on politics. That's hard to say, policy on politics. And there are ways to do that are very fair and even. And everybody has to resolve that they are going to follow the policy. But it happens. Now, that time, they wasted a lot of hours in arguments, going into HR, going into the manager, taking off work because they didn't want to come in and face things in the office. These things happen when people have conflict. Now, that costs money. I had one time a LLC, and they were putting together a medical company in California also. Two of the nine were the managing startup people. They started up the company and they did a very good job at getting it certified, getting it approved, getting all of the things that needed to be done for the company to succeed. Well, the other eight saw, wow, these guys are really successful at this. Let's take over the company from those two. So I had to bring all nine in and we had to resolve the conflict because no business was getting done because all the eight were pounding on the two. That happens. And no one can go forward or be productive when there are attacks going on in the business. Conflict is everywhere. It starts when you get up in the morning. If you have children, you go into the kid's room and you say, hey, time to get up. Conflict begins. Negotiations begin. Negotiations for the whole day begins of what those kids are going to do and what you're going to do as parents. And then when you get to the office, you start negotiating again, and you start. It's a cycle. But when conflict gets out of control, it can literally cost you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars because no one knows who to talk to. No one knows who to follow. No one knows what side to take. And if a manager lets that go on, you are going to waste a tremendous amount of money within the company. I always tell my clients, if conflict arises, resolve it very quickly because you don't want it overflowing into the other parts of the company. Nor do you want it to get out and get into the press. And you don't want your clients to know that you have conflict within your company. You don't want them to know that. But it gets out. And so then, what do you think the view of your company is going to be when they know that you've got conflict and you're letting it continue? Resolve the conflict. Resolve the wasteful time and the wasteful money. You can call in a mediator such as myself, and we can sit down and we can resolve these issues. It doesn't have to be argumentative. That's why I'm there as a mediator, keep it from being argumentative. My role as a mediator is to look at what the issue is and to resolve it and to come up with a problem solving mechanism so that everybody's working together once again. Now, sometimes it doesn't work all the time because you've got some people who just are so stubborn that they don't want to move. And sometimes I have to take them to the side and talk with them directly before I bring them back into the group again. But you can resolve conflict if you bring in the right individual, the right mediator to sit down and talk. We know what the questions we should ask. We listen very well. While everyone else they've come in with their own opinions and their own anger, our job is to make everybody silent for just a little bit, take a breath, and I listen to each one by one, and we resolve the conflict. It's really a sticky situation because you want everybody to get along, right? But we are human beings and we all don't get along. And sometimes we're a little bit stubborn and we have a little bit of an ego, and we let that conflict get bigger and bigger and bigger. And instead of it just involving just two people or three people, it gets huge. And then it develops around within the team that is supposed to be working together and not supposed to be in conflict. Sit down, resolve conflict, because it's an important part of your business to have a smooth running operation. Conflict is very expensive, very expensive. You don't want wasted time. You don't want employees thinking that they cannot speak to you directly when there's a conflict going. And don't take it into HR because often HR is seen as being in alignment with management. And these employees have got to feel as though that they can speak openly and freely to the mediator. And the other thing is, if you are the manager, unless you're trained in conflict resolution, don't try to resolve it yourself. Bring in a mediator who is neutral and that he is trained or she is trained to take the conflict and bring it together so that individuals understand where they need to go in the future. Resolve the conflict. It's less costly. Listen, if you would like to sit down with me confidentially, you can book a session with me online at www.lodge.co.com, link down below. And you can also send me an email and ask a question at thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. Z with a Z, okay? Zmail.com. Everybody go out and have a great day. Have a great week. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.